What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show. Me, Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And today I'm back with the top bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. There's a lot of MMA this weekend. PFL 9 coming up on Friday. And on Saturday, we have the UFC. We also have a road to the UFC. We also have KSW. I believe there's an LFA card on this weekend as well. So a metric ton of MMA action. Obviously, the last in this series of PFL events, and then we'll have the finale, but we also have the pay-per-view card coming up. We have a load of Bellators coming up. I think there's two in the space of 2 weeks coming up in the not too distant future as well. So a lot of MMA, and obviously we'll have UFC Noche and the UFC pay-per-views and all that as well. So a load of MMA, and Cage Warriors are coming back soon. A lot of MMA to get into over the next while, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll have a better week than we had last week. Only one of our bets hit. It was a very, very poor week. Mads Bernal, was plus money, plus 105. He won his fight there, and he won it. The analysis last week, if he shows up, I think he's a better fighter than his opponent, and that's exactly what happened. So that was a good price there. But Collard, Adesanya, and Gamrot by decision didn't hit. Now, Gamrot by decision should it have hit? You could argue that. It was a very, very close fight, but the others were way off and didn't do for it. Two from without won the first round for a plus 450. Flier, okay, it didn't go so well in the second round, but you'll have that for the Flyers. And then the parlay didn't hit either. We only when putting Adesanya and Gamrot into it wasn't great in our sig, but we had roads and truck. But we'll bring the parlay back for the next pay-per-view, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe that pay-per-view parlay will get dumped as quick as it was brought in if it keeps losing. So yeah, we had a good month there. I feel like from July, the mid part of July to maybe the mid part of August, the last week or two has been a bit tough. But we'll make it back here, and we'll try to hit the road running as we get into the next batch of mixed martial arts fights here. So let's run through it here. If you want to see all the bets in one place, at the end of the video, I will recap all of them, and I'll give you my bets straight up, because I know some people don't want all the analysis. Some people love all the analysis. So if you're one of those people who doesn't want all the analysis, you can look at them at the end. And if you do, stay tuned and let's get into it. Right. Please bet responsibly before I start all of this. Don't go too mad or anything like that. So let's get to bet number one. And my first bet. So I'm going to give you 2 from the UFC, 2 from PFL, and then my Flyers from the UFC as well. We will get to that, but I'm going to start with the UFC here. And the first bet I want to give you is a bet. I looked through these prices an awful lot. I was looking at this fight for the last couple of days. The prop bets only came out 2 or 3 hours ago here, so I waited as long as I possibly could to get it out. But when I saw this price, I think this is one I had to go for. So it's Morales to win by decision at minus 110. And he's fighting Neil Magny. Now, this is based, I think, a lot on Neil Magny, who, in my opinion, is a guy who's looked at... He's kind of not looked at in the right way, I think, a lot of the time. Neil Magny is a guy he's a very, very hard out racing. Now, was that always the case? No, right? But you look at his recent fights in the last in the last 5 or 6 years, even, right? Okay, so he got knocked out by Ponzinibbio in the 4th round in 2018. Let's look since then, right? So he had 2 wins in a row. He had a decision loss, 2 wins in a row. And then in the 7 or 8 fights since then, he's been finished twice, but the Gilbert Burns and Shavkat Rakhmonov, right? He lost Ian Gary by decision. He went to decision with Philip Rowe 1. He knocked out Mike Malott, and he choked out Daniel Rodriguez, right? So the only guys since the Ponzinibbio loss 6 years ago to finish him are Rakhmonov and Burns. That's the very, very top of the decision. Even guys that he's lost to Chiesa, who at the time 3 or 4 years ago he's still ranked, but he was up there. Ian Gary, who's ranked number 7 or 8 in the world at the moment, they haven't finished him. Mike Malott, a guy, he's the next big thing, he's going to go in and he's going to win, wasn't able to finish him. Now, I really like Michael Morales at 25 years of age, 16-0. He just beat Jake Matthews last time out, beat Max Griffin before that. I think he is one of the future guys of this division, but this is the first big step up, with all due respect to Jake and Max Griffin. It really, really, really is. And I think he is not going to struggle. I think he's going to win the fight. I think he's going to dominate the fight. But I think he's going to struggle to get Neil Magny out of there. Like, look at Ian Gary. Say what you want to say about Ian Gary, but that fight, he was fantastic, phenomenal in that fight. He tried his best to get him out of there. I know some people would say maybe he could have tried a little harder or whatever. I don't necessarily buy into that. And he couldn't get him out of there, right? Is Morales as good as Ian Gary? Is he as dominant a fighter as Ian Gary? No, maybe he hits a little bit harder, or maybe he's, more of a puncher than Ian Gary. But at the same time, is that going to be enough to get someone like a Magny out of there? I'm unsure about that. Now, again, do I think he'll win? Do I think he'll have enough to beat Magny? Yes. But if you're looking at, and this is a big part of it as well, maybe I should have led with this, but if you're looking at the prices of this fight, who's to win straight up, it paints a very different picture. Michael Morales in some places is minus 1,000 to win this fight. Can I, hold on, if I can just pull it up and show it you here? Indeed I can. Minus 1,000 in some places. Best price minus 1,800. Magny, plus 600 to win this fight. Now, I was looking at a few bets, plus 215 to get the knockout. The submission plus 650 is a little bit more. But when I saw the him to win by decision, where is it? It's down here somewhere. Or is it? Morales to win by decision plus 110. Very, very good price. It was definitely the one that stood out to me. And the reason I think why it stood out to me is because we spoke. I think I gave Magny to beat Mike Malott. Might have been my one Flier win of this whole year, possibly. So I've put a lot of thought into this over the last while about Neil Magny. And, that price, minus 110, not too far away from even money. You're still picking Morales. It's not like you're going, for the, I'll be honest. I might throw in Flier number 2 as Magny. I have a Flier, but I might throw in Flier number 2 as Magny, because Magny is the type of guy who wins these sort of fights. Malott, Rowe, Rodriguez, Griffin, Neal, even Li Zhangliang back in the day. He beats guys who are kind of the next big thing. Now, okay, has he lost a couple of them as well? Absolutely, no doubt about it. But he's a live dog in these fights. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, again, picking Michael Morales here, the thing about Morales as well, right? Neil Magny, 6'3", Morales, 6 foot. But I think he fights tall and fights big. Like, watching some of his fights, when I watching a couple of these fights and then looking at his Sherdog record afterwards and looking at the height on it, I was surprised to see he was 6 foot. He is very good at closing distance quickly, very good at range. Now, it'll be a little bit tougher against Magny again, and why I don't think he'll get that big knockout against him, but also he's not going to struggle in a way that a lot of guys, like obviously Ian Gary, I think he's a big tall guy. Ian Gary, I stood alongside him, he's 6'4", 6'5" at least, and he didn't have obviously that problem either, but a lot of people have that problem against Magny, and even though you have the 3 inches of difference, I still don't think it'll be a massive problem for Morales here. So that's the bet. First bet of the week, Michael Morales to win by decision at minus 110. The second bet of the week, this was a little bit of maybe a slightly out there one, but I'm going for the Edmen Shahbazyan versus Gerald Meerschaert fight to go over a round and a half at minus 112. Now, this was another one of these fights that there is, if we can pull it up here, there's a bit of a difference in the terms of prices. Best price for Shahbazyan minus 290, up as far as minus 320 even here, plus 240 for Gerald Meerschaert, which in itself isn't the biggest gap in the world in terms of prices, but at the same time, I don't exactly completely trust Shahbazyan yet to, not only to win a fight like this, but to kind of put a guy like him away. Now, look, he's put a lot of guys away. There's no doubt about it. He's 13 wins and he's 12 finishes. He's also lost 4 times and he's been finished, 3 times himself. But you look at Gerald Meerschaert's record, right? He's a lot of fights, a lot of experience, still only 36 years of age, not the oldest guy in the world. And you look at recent fights, right? And I love to do this, right? So Joe Pyfer knocked him out in a round, right? 3 minutes. But other than that, he went to the last second of the second round against Barbarina and won that fight. A decision against Petrosky. Went to the third round against Silva. 3-round decision against Jocko. 3 rounds against Stoffels. The middle of the second round against Murdov. And those are his fights for the last 3 years. There was a few earlier ones before that, but he's a lot of decisions in there as well. A lot of long fights in there as well, Now, again, he's a finisher. He's a guy who finishes fights and he gets finished himself. There's no doubt about it. I just feel if you're a guy like Gerald Meerschaert and you look at some of those recent, the Pyfer fight is, I suppose, one that stands out, but other ones, even like the Chimaev one, which is, 17 seconds, you can kind of dispense of that. But those are the sort of fights, I think, when you continue fighting, you have to adjust, right? Or you will not survive. And I think he will see what Shahbazyan is good at and try to avoid it as much as he can. What is Shahbazyan good at? He's fast hands. He hits hard, right? What's Gerald Meerschaert going to do? Like, I think he's going to try to tie him up. I think he's going to try to, stick and move as much as he can. Now, is that the best, strategy against someone like Shahbazyan who maybe can counter you? No, but you have to do bits and pieces of it to kind of stay away from him, I think. I think if he can be all the way in or all the way out, stay away from him or get right into him. Shahbazyan is, and we've seen it many times, he's not the type of guy who takes well to someone taking all of his shots and coming back for more. He tires. When he's very good at he's very good when he's getting pushed. Very good when he's getting pushed forward by himself. He's very good when he's on the front foot. Let's put it that way. But when he's taken off the front foot and put on the back foot, he's not. He can show issues there. We've seen it many times before. Now, am I picking Gerald Meerschaert to win or anything like that? No, right? I'm not. But I look at this fight and I think Shahbazyan is going to come out and he's going to land a couple of shots early. It's going to force Meerschaert to try to push him against the cage. I could see long 3-minute push against the cage, grapple fest sequences in this fight. If he was to get one takedown, Shahbazyan, he's not bad on the ground. He's not bad. But I think it'll cause him to maybe get a little bit more tired, take a little bit maybe off the shots. I fully expect him to win maybe the first 2 rounds and maybe the third round as well. But I wouldn't at all be surprised if Meerschaert did, say, win the third round or stayed in there for a long time. Now, look, it's a risky one because, as I said, these guys, they do finish a lot. But I'm not going for a decision here. I'm only going for over 1.5 rounds. And when I looked at that price of -112 and I looked at the issues Shahbazyan has had in the past and, Meerschaert's ability to be a kind of a tough guy, I suppose. Look, Meerschaert has had problems as well. Look, he's been knocked out in 17 seconds, let's be honest. But I just do like it. I liked that price. I kind of like that fight as well. And I believe it might go a little bit longer. We might see the start of the third round or something like that. Right. Those are the 2 bets from the UFC. We'll come back to the UFC in a second, but let's move over to PFL for a second. And bet number one of my favorite guys to bet on is Enrique Barzola, and he's -135 in his fight on Friday night against Tyler Diamond. Again, Tyler Diamond is one of these guys who is a good fighter, and we saw it in his last fight. He beat Brett Johns, he beat Bellator Rodriguez before that. But losing to Mavlid and losing to Lochnan and, he lost to Bryce Mitchell back in Tough in the day. Those are all very, very, very good guys. The thing about Barzola is I think he's a very, very underrated fighter. Look at the lads he's only lost on the last while. Kizriev, Baroks, Archuleta, Magomedov. He's beaten everyone else. Bates, Perez, Nikita Mikhailov, Darian Caldwell, even back in the likes of Gabriel Benitez, and so on and so forth, all the way back to when he made his debut in 2012. I like his hands. And I like his takedown defense. And against a guy like Tyler Diamond, who's obviously a very, very good wrestler, I think that's going to be a big part of it. You saw Kizriev, and he was obviously able to take him down. But he's a different level, I think. And I think everyone kind of would agree with that. Even Magomedov. Like, I remember talking about the Mikhailov fight at the time. And this guy was a big prospect coming in. And, you know, Barzola is well able for those guys. Now, he's 35 years of age, and maybe he's getting on a tad, but I still think his ability to kind of control a lot of these guys on the feet and to stop the takedown is massively underrated. You know, he's fought a lot to a decision as well. He's well able to win decisions, and I just think it's going to take a lot for Tyler Diamond. Now, having said that as well, Tyler Diamond, at 33 years of age, you know, he's still improving. He's getting better, obviously. As I mentioned, when you beat Brett Johnson, you beat Otto Rodriguez. He's finding a way to use his wrestling more. But my thinking here is, if he can't find a way to use that wrestling, it's going to be major problems for him here, I think. I really do. And do I think he's going to get knocked out or anything? No, I don't think so. I think it's probably a decision win for Barzola. That prop isn't in there yet. But I do, like, it's one of those ones as well that, if the price was a little bit different, maybe I would change my tune on it slightly. But at that price, you know, as I said, if it pushed out another little bit, maybe. But no, I like Barzola. He's into minus 130 at the moment. I told you minus 135. He's into minus 130 now. I do like it. I think he's the better mixed martial artist. And I'm going for him to win that fight. So that's bet number 3. Bet number 4 is a very simple one. It's not the best price in the world, right? In terms of, if, Shawnee, you're giving me a minus 275 bet here, okay? But the minus 275 price is for Shamil Musaev to beat Murad Ramazanov. Now, if anyone has been watching the PFL this year, they will know on June 28th, Shamil Musaev fought Murad Ramazanov and finished him at 151 of round 2. Now, finished him at 151 of round 2 after nearly finishing him about 20 times in round 1, beat the living hell out of him. And I'm a big admirer of Ramazanov, watched a lot of his fights in one championship, literally was like, everyone should be signing this guy, he's a top fighter, and he is a very good fighter, right? No, there's no doubt about it. You put Ramazanov in with anyone else in that division, I think he beats him. That's how good I think he is. But Shamil Musaev might be the best welterweight in the world. That's how good he is. Like, you put him in there with the guys I was mentioning earlier on, the likes of Ian Gary, the likes of Sean Brady, you know, Bilal Muhammad as the champion, Leonard. This guy is competitive with them and beats some of these guys I mentioned. That's how good this guy is. And I can't go from that fight, having seen that and seen a way that Ramazanov wins this fight. I just can't see it. And I picked him going into the first fight, right? So this is, you know, this is not me sticking to my guns or anything. This is a departure from what I was saying before. But he beat him so clearly and so concisely. Even if there was like, I'm taking this easier, and Musaev's not that type of guy. There's no way he wins this fight. He beat him to the wrestling, offensively and defensively. He beat him striking. Like, Ramazanov to me looked like a good striker before, and Musaev made him look like an amateur. He destroyed him in that fight, and he will win this fight. Like, it's almost a short. So it's one of those bets that I don't like putting on my record. You know, if I get it right, now if I get it wrong, I look very stupid. Obviously, the minus 275, but I have to give that. Like, this, after what happened now, can I get an example now of a fight? Okay, here's an example of a fight. Last week in the UFC, Carlos Prates fought Li Zhenliang, right? And he beat the living hell out of him, finished him. Same as this. I would say the Musaev one was even worse. Imagine if those two lads fought in 2 months again. What price would that be? Like, Prates would be minus 700 and minus 800 type of thing. He'd be massive favorite. And imagine if you got him at minus 275. You'd be thinking, wait, hold on. That's not right at all. That is not right at all. I think this price is way off. I think if you fancy someone else, maybe one of my bets, one of your own bets, someone at even money or someone, you know, plus money or something like that, double up, parlay it, throw this into it, make a bit of money out of it. So I have to give that bet. When I saw that price, it's not often you look at, you know, nearly 3-1 underdog or 3-1 favorite and you're thinking, I'm going to give that. But you have to. After what happened in the last fight, you have to give that price. Minus 275 for Shamil Musaev is bet number 4 of the week. Bet number 5 of the week, the Flier. I might throw Magny in. I might throw Magny in at plus. What did I say it was? Plus. God Almighty, it's all messed up here on Best Fight Odds. But anyway, we have it here at plus 600 best price. I'll go half Flier. I'll take credit for it next week if it goes. But the Flier I'm going for this week is in the main event of the UFC. I'm going for Borralho to win by submission at plus 325. Plus 325 to win by submission. I think it's, and this to me is a 5-round bet. Or you look at Borralho, and he hasn't a boatload of submissions on his record. He only has 4, right? He's won obviously one fight in the UFC by submission against Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. He's a few finishes, few decisions in there as well. Cannonier as well. He's never been submitted, right? So this again, it's a Flyer. It's a bit of a departure. I just think I was a little bit surprised to see the betting on this one, and I'll pull it up here. Best price minus 225 for Borralho, plus 200 for Cannonier. Like, can we see the history of this? So Cannonier opened at plus 122 and has gone all the way out. Borralho opened up at minus 145 and has gone all the way out. In some places minus 237. So there has been obviously a lot of money has come in on Borralho, and I'm a little bit surprised by that, to be honest. Now, if anyone knows me, I'm a big Borralho guy. I've talked about this lad since whenever it was a Contender Series or his first fight in UFC or whatever, as a guy I'm tipping to go far, and he's far now already. So I was right. Pat on the back for me. I'm very rarely right, so we'll go with that. But even I'm surprised. Like, Cannonier is a very, very good fighter, and I think he deserves a little bit more respect. But my point here being, like, I'm talking myself out of the bed here, I think Borralho will have that respect for him. And even though, like, Borralho is a good fighter on the feet, I think he knows the advantage here is on the ground. And I think he will be careful on the feet, be sneaky with the takedowns, and take him to the floor and try to win the fight that way. And I think if he does that, and you look at Cannonier's age of 40, 24 fights into his career, which isn't an awful lot, but over the last while, right, Imavov 4 rounds, Vettori 5 rounds, Strickland 5 rounds, Adesanya 5 rounds, a couple of fights for that, Gastelum 5 rounds, went to decision with Robert Whittaker. There's a lot of wear and tear at the very top level, and those fighters that he fought, Imavov, Vettori, Strickland, Adesanya, Brunson, Gastelum, Whittaker, back to Hermanson in 2019, Anderson Silva before that. Those are top level fighters, those are all top guys he's fighting, and that does take it out of you a little bit, especially when you get to 40. And again, when you get to that age and you're fighting a guy who is, let me just check it up here, 31, you are, that's when things kind of turn, isn't it? That's when you start losing fights by finish. And look, he did get finished by Imavov in the last fight, looked a tad tired at times towards the end of that. If Borralho can put it on him early in terms of the takedowns and ground and pound and all of that, can he go in there and can he get the finish? I do think he can, and Borralho is the type of guy who is a good submission artist, will go for the submission. As I said, he hasn't got a lot, but I think at this sort of level, if he has 2 or 3 fights around the where would you say, 5 to 15 level in the middleweight division, I think that's his path to victory in some of these fights. So that's the bet I'm going for. Look, again, it's the Flyer plus 325, Borralho to win by submission. Right. Those are the 5 bets for the week. As I said, we'll recap them at the end. But let's have a look at some of the other MMA going on at the weekend, and let's run through some of the bets for that. So LFA card this weekend, the one that sticks out to me is Ashley Oder. She's plus 120 against Gloria De Paula. Seen a bit of her obviously as well. That's an interesting one there. There's a few obviously good up and comers on that card, and the PFL then. We'll move on to a lot of big favourites on this PFL, funnily enough. Look, you want to look at Ray Cooper at plus 400. You never know with Ray Cooper. You never know with Ray Cooper. Plus 400. Berkamov, best price minus 400. Look, who's the pick there? It's going to be Berkamov, but you never know. I think Luka Piglot, I was expecting him to be a little bit less of a price, minus 275 best price. I do think Piglot, or Pucklet, I always fuck that up. I do think Pucklet will win, but would I touch it at that price? Alachwin is not a bad fighter. And then we have Barzola, obviously, as I gave you on the bet. Road to the UFC this weekend as well. The one that sticks out for me is Danny McCormack, plus 130, minus 175 against our opponent, Jan. It's a very tough fight for Danny. Very, very, very tough fight. Honestly, I was expecting this to be a little bit wider. Jan, I think, she should be in the UFC already. She went in there with Karina Silva, who's ranked number 7 in the world, and she beat her to pieces and just got caught with a submission in the end. It's a big task for Danny, but as we saw against Valeska Machado, she's rose to the task before. But yeah, I wouldn't be betting at that price. If she was plus 300, maybe I might bet on it, but the Yan price is probably the price to go to there, as much as it pains me to say as an Irishman. Then the UFC, we'll skip past those. KSW, we'll come to the rest of the UFC here in a second. KSW, the one that I find very interesting, Matthias Scheffel, who is obviously in PFL, taking on Simon Bijur. I would go for Simon at minus 250, I'll be honest, right? But Matthias Scheffel has won fights against better lads than Bijur, I think. And he's also lost them, make no mistake about that. But that, I don't know, that's the type of price, that minus, or that plus 175. If that was to go up to plus 200 maybe, I think I would probably go for that. I also like Kleber Silva here at minus 163. I think he's a good fighter, and that's a good price on him. And is the Wojciech fight there? I don't see it. Maybe that fight was cancelled, was it? Anyway, we'll move on. The rest of the PFL then, again, I was a bit surprised that Loughnane is that big of a favourite. Like in some places, look at this, minus 400 is Loughnane, plus 300 for Kai Kamaka, best price, minus 330 for Loughnane. Again, do we have any? We don't have the props yet. I probably am picking Loughnane. Would I bet him at that price? Probably not. I think if it's close, what would the price that we comfortable betting Loughnane? Probably plus 150, 175. Minus 150, minus 175. Not at that price, though. Not at that price at all. Umaladov is a massive favourite to beat Gracie, and he will. Interesting as well, Kizriev and Alves. Alves is a good underdog, like plus 370, but Kizriev is rightfully so a massive favourite in that, as big as minus 550. And again, we spoke about Ramazanov and Musaev. Then we have the UFC. We talked about the main event, obviously, best price minus 225 for Borralho, plus 200 for Cannonier. I was very close to going for a bet on Angela Hill against Ricci. I like Hill to win the decision, but look at this price for Hill to win the decision. Actually, that has changed here in the last while, plus 135. That's not bad, but the fight to go to, actually, I was looking at the fight to go to the decision, but minus 455. Minus 455 that's crazy. So that fight's probably going to, at that price, you're better off going with the plus 300 fight. Doesn't go to the decision nearly, but as unlikely, I think, as it is. We have Morales and Magny, as we talked about then. I've been impressed by this Robert Valentine guy. He's not bad, minus 180. That might be a price we look at in future and think it's pretty good. And I have a bit of hope for Borralho still, but at that price of over minus 200 against James Luntop, whose name I can never pronounce, I've been impressed enough by him. That's the type of fight I'd be avoiding. That's the type of I'd be avoiding with both hands there, to be honest. So there you go. That's the run through for the bets. So let's recap my bets for the week. I'm going with bet number 1, Morales wins by decision, minus 110. Edmen and Gerald go over around and a half and minus 112. I'm going for minus 130 for Enrique Barzola, and then for Shamil Musaev at minus 275. So all minus bets this week, but apart from the last one, they're pretty close. And in the flyer, plus 325 for Borralho to win by submission. We'll throw a bit of a flyer with Magny as well, at plus 600, and see how that goes. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let me know in the comment section below who you're betting on this week. Please bet responsibly. And for me, Sean Sheehan, that is it. I'll see you all next time.